Welcome to Unfrazzle, a podcast for solo business owners with a big vision who are ready for a kinder, more sustainable approach to productivity. I'm Louise Miller, and each week I share bite-sized insights to help you step away from the hustle, stop faffing and stay focused so you can make your brilliant ideas happen and make a bigger impact in the world. Before we dive into today's episode, if you enjoy what I'm sharing here on Unfrazzle and you'd like to support the podcast, you can buy me a cuppa by going to buymeacoffee.com/Louise Miller and making a one-off donation. I'll pop a link to that in the show notes. Okay, grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started. When I was getting ready to record an episode of the Brand Therapy podcast with Phil and Lauren, I had no idea what was about to unfold. There I was with my notes, ready to talk about my approach to compassionate, sustainable productivity, ready to give the listeners a new, empowering way of thinking about planning and getting stuff done. But what actually happened was way more powerful. It turned out that Lauren and Phil were both drowning in overwhelm. They had way too much to do, and they were open and honest enough to share their struggles with me. And Lauren in particular had found herself in a really difficult situation, fighting to catch up after a period of illness during what was already a busy time. So here's what she said. She said, "I was already really overwhelmed, and then I was the sickest I've ever been in my entire life, which set me back even further. And now I come back and I feel like 100,000 people are asking me for things and need help. And there's only one of me who can actually do the tasks they need help with. And there's only 24 hours in a day. It's a very uncomfortable position to be in. I'm feeling incredibly overwhelmed." So as you hear that, does any of that sound familiar to you? It's quite common, isn't it, for us to feel that way sometimes. And the fact that they were feeling this way when we sat down to do this podcast interview meant that instead of talking in hypotheticals, I got to apply my knowledge and my expertise to what was actually going on in their world during the podcast recording. So if you'd like to listen to the full episode, I will pop a link to that in the show notes. But there was one particular piece of advice I shared that really hit home for Lauren, so I would love to share it with you too. She told me that her usual way of navigating her overwhelm is to look at her list of 72 things, figure out what's most important, and start there. And that sounds sensible, doesn't it? Sounds like the right way to do things. But I also suggested to her that it can be helpful to view it the other way round. So instead of looking at what's most important, actually thinking about what's the least important. And that suggestion blew Lauren's mind because it shifts the focus from what still needs to be done to what you can let go of. It gives you permission to put things down, to let go of anything that's no longer relevant, that's no longer in alignment with the direction you're heading in, or that's no longer important enough to warrant your attention right now. So it's about picking up that list of 72 things and looking for tasks you might outsource, tasks you might ask for help with, tasks you might put safely in a not now holding zone. And when you start doing that, the sense of relief is palpable as you're actually taking something off your plate. You're setting down a few of the plates that you're spinning. And lightening the load in that way, even just a little bit, can help things to feel way more manageable, so that when you do return to the important things on your list, you're much more able to focus. So it's clever, isn't it, right? Looking at it the other way around. So give that a go next time you're drowning in too much to do and see what a difference it makes. And as always, I hope that this helps, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for listening to Unfrazzle. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who needs a dose of calm productivity in their life. And I'd love it if you could leave me a rating and a review, as that will help more people discover this podcast. If you'd like to hear more from me to help you stop faffing and take back control of your time, you'll find a link to join my mailing list in the show notes, and I would really love for you to join us. So thanks so much for your support, and I look forward to seeing you next time.